It's showtime. All right, people. All right, people. This video may be only 15 minutes long. I just want to make one point that I've been harping on for the longest, right? Let me get back to my point. Hold on. I got my tablet out. Let me make sure I'm. One second, Shaw. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Bear with me 30 seconds. All right, all right, all right. All right, let's get this party started. What's up, chat? We're gonna be short here today. It's 10:19 in Cali. That means it's like midnight and 1 o'clock on the East Coast in the Midwest, right? So I just was listening to a video um, that Garfield did. See, I be calling cats' name. They won't call my name. That golfer did they interviewed an Egyptologist, right? So let me first lay out the premise or the storyline for the point I'm trying to make. Let them know, Donnie, hit that goddamn like button. Now, why do I see 2 likes? Am I tripping? And 14, 15 people up in here right now. Come on now. So, look, check this out. For a long time, can you guys hear me good, first of all, before I go in? It's going to be 15 minutes, S. Rush. I ain't going to be long. Can y'all hear me well? Hit number 8. And I'll continue. I want to make sure I'm loud and clear. Let's see who's fast at the trigger today. All right. Donnie, I knew Donnie was the quickest at the trigger. Oh, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, the running narrative in this so called online conscious community, which, by the way, when I say conscious community, just let it be known that it's a small online community, right? It's not a bunch of people. Ask my daddy and my mom and my brother who some of y'all are or who Dr. Ben is, they would be clueless. Okay, so let's not get on your high horses and think just everybody know who people are who be streaming and this is some large platform that the conscious community is a very, 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 very small, minute community. I think I'm not sure who manual testing is asking is your health good, but I just had a colonoscopy today. I didn't eat for 39 hours and I took a laxative. They gave me this solution. I had to remove waste. I was on the toilet every 20 minutes all evening long. Well, I have zero in my intestines. So I had my col- colonoscopy today and I have no pull-ups. What they call it? Pull-ups. I'm fine. So I don't have to worry about no colon cancer in any of the near future, right? So I advise people to get a regular physical twice a year. Fuck once a year. Get a physical twice a year. Get your blood work done twice a year. Listen to your doctor. Trust me on this one. Now, so the running theory in the conscious community is that what Dr. Ben used to always parrot all the time. They came from the South. They came from the South. Talking in regards to the ancient Egyptians. They came from the south where the god Happy dwelled, at the foothills of the mountains of the moon. Now, many people switch that around and leave off all the extras of the mountain of the moon and all that stuff, and they just strictly say they came from the south. But when they say that, I'm telling you, they got it from Dr. Ben. They came from the south where the god Happy dwelled. And this has been the narrative, and this has been the teaching that all Afrocentric students, the elders, students, junior elders today, and people today still parrot. It's ridiculous. The point they were trying to say is the ancient Egyptians came from Nubia and Sudan and other areas south, and black folk formed or started the formation of ancient Egypt. That's the point of saying that. Let's be clear. Let me tell you the history. I've been around. So when you hear black folks saying in these conscious communities they came from the south, they are trying to tell you the ancient Egyptians came from somewhere else, not Egypt. They came from sub-Saharan Africa. And they formed Egypt and later changed through invasions and whatever else cockamamie excuse they want to come up with. It's a bunch of bullshit. I've debunked they came from the south. I got about 8 videos tearing it up. Go look. Type in Chief X. They came from the south. Debunked. It's right there. Okay? That's a motherfucking lie. Ankh has been pushing that forever. He was pushing it last year. And he tried to push it today. I'm going to show and prove all this. Ankh has always been trying to claim Egyptians formed, the Egyptian state formation came from people who came out the Green Sahara, all the way up the Nile, all the way, and then went into Egypt. This is the thing he's trying to teach. Okay? Are we clear on that? The origins of this teaching in the conscious community. So let's move on. So today, Garfield and Ankh interviewed an Egyptologist, right? And at the end of the interview, Ankh tried it to see where she was coming from, to see if she would agree with him. But nope, as always, they agree with Chief X. And she body slammed Ankh. Not really, but I'm just saying, she basically told him what I've been teaching. She should have just said, you know what? Listen to Chief X. He's been telling y'all ignorant fools for a long time. They ain't came from no goddamn Nubia. She should just say, just listen to Chief X. Chief X been teaching this, she should say. Why do you need me? Chief X been saying the same thing, and he's been proving it. That's what she should have said. Okay, so let's go and get into it. Let me make sure my screen is sharing properly for my tablet. Okay, let's first hear from the horse's mouth, and we're gonna move on. Listen intently. We're gonna be here at the most 18 minutes, and we're out. Let's go.
To itself. So I got one more question for you because I know you're showing time. When I'm not sure how much available data you've studied on the formation of Egypt, but I would like to ask very how much available data you've studied on the formation of Egypt. But I would like to I'm not sure how much available data you've studied on the formation of Egypt. But I'm not sure how much available data you've studied on the formation of Egypt. But I would like to ask a very simplistic question. In terms of what you ran across on ancient Egypt, was it multiple polities on the Nile Valley that would later on form the Egyptian state, or was on the Nile Valley, ancient Egypt? Was it multiple polities on the Nile Valley that would later on form the Egyptian state, or was it one polity in Egypt that would form the Egyptian state? I'm not even going to talk about the Middle East because I don't even want to talk about that. Form the Egyptian state. I'm not even going to talk about the Middle East because I don't even want to talk about that. I just want to talk to the state. I'm not even going to talk about the Middle East because I don't even want to talk about that. I just want
Pause. He said that because he's prepping her and trying to lay down his narrative and then have her agree with his narrative. So already he's eliminating West Asia, the Near East, the Middle East. He's eliminating these places from her psyche. This is his mind game he does. He's trying to eliminate these places and force her to say, yes, Ankh, they came from Sudan and all the way down in sub-Saharan Africa. This is what Ankh is hoping she says, because this is a teaching Ankh has been pushing forever. Me and Ankh have argued this ad nauseum for a long time, so I know where he comes from. Chef Rain has argued this with Ankh for a long time, so we know where Ankh is coming from. This is his attempt to try to weaponize a Egyptologist teacher to say something that he's been spewing and he's been wrong about. I'm laying it out for you. Let's go.
or was it one polity? Was it multiple polities?
So when he says that, he's trying to say, was it a group of Egyptians and Nubians and all they got together and they formed, and he's just trying to blend in the Nubians into the formation, or black folk into the beginnings of jumping off Egypt. This is Ankh's point. This is what he's always been trying to push. Let's go.
On the now, in terms of what you ran across on ancient Egypt, was it multiple polities on the Nile Valley that would later on form the Egyptian state, or was it one polity in Egypt that would form the Egyptian state? I'm not even going to talk about the Middle East because I don't even want to talk about that. I just want to talk about the African origins of Egypt.
Now, before she answers, I've always taught you guys, Narmer, the first ruler, Dynasty 1, comes from Thinis. Afrocentrics have always told you Narmer came from Nubia and tried to play that they come from the Black Lands. Narmer is an Egyptian. He's not a Nubian. He didn't come from nowhere in Nubia. Narmer came from Thinis, which is next door to Abydos. Listen to my wording. Narmer comes from Thinis, which is right next door or a little bit north of Abydos. And he united the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. They had nothing to do with uniting Nubians or black folk. They united Upper and Lower Egypt, period. And she's going to clarify that. Let's go.
I just want to talk about the African origins of Egypt.
Um, well, from what we found, it looks like there were kings from the south
Mm.
who, at a certain point, enter in.
Now, when they say kings from the south, they're just talking about south of Luxor or south of the Delta. They're not talking about down south in another country or another people. They're just saying south of the Mediterranean Sea or southern Egypt or central Egypt. Thinis really is central Egypt more so, in my opinion. Let's go.
in
Mm.
who, at a certain point, enter in a fight, relationship and fights with the kings from the north. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified in one state. And so states, and then fights with the kings from the north. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified, kings from the north. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified.
That's meaning Upper and Lower Egypt. She's not speaking on Nubia. Ankh wants her to bring in Nubia. He's wrong. He's been wrong. Let's go.
In a fight, relationship and fights with the kings from the north. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified in one state. And so I don't know if you know this famous object, the Narmer
Yes.
palette. So that's
Narmer's
used
palette.
to try to see this legendary king as the unifier. There are a lot of new excavations, though. They're trying to learn more about these early kings, because we have the list of the later authors of kings' names, but we are not even sure, that's really the complete list. And sometimes you can see in the news like, oh, maybe new king from Abydos, from the south.
What'd she say? Abydos.
Okay.
The news like, oh, maybe new king from Abydos, from the south. See in the news like, oh, maybe new king from Abydos, from the south.
Pause. I just told you before she started talking, Narmer came from Thinis, which is next door to Abydos. You can look at any map. Abydos, she said. What kind of clothing Ankh sells? Abydos. That has nothing to do with Nubia. But let's continue.
Okay.
Like, oh, maybe new king from Abydos, from the south.
Okay.
The name of a new king has been found, or this king from about whom we knew nothing now. We found, so it's still on. I think it's a research still ongoing.
I'm going to research. Okay. So when you say in the South,
Now that doesn't sit well with Ankh. She didn't co-sign the bullshit he's been teaching for years as Nubians forming Egyptian civilization. So he's going to ask her another question, like, baby, when you say South, She clearly said Abydos. That means south of the Mediterranean, or south of Cairo, or south of Luxor. She clearly said Abydos in Narmer, in where he came from, Thinis. But that doesn't sit well with Ankh because he wants you guys to think that the early Egyptians, the original Egyptians, came from the south. So watch his next question.
You think about whom we knew nothing now. We so it's still on. I think it's a research still ongoing.
I'm going to research. Okay. So when you say in the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or? I'm going to research. Okay. So when you say in the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or South in Egypt? What do you mean? So when you say in the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or South in Egypt? What do you mean?
See, Ankh couldn't let it go. He's trying to push her even further when she strictly told him Abydos. He's trying to push it 10 to 2,000 more miles south, all the way down deep, deep, deep in Sudan where Khartoum is, which is way past the Sixth Cataract. These are the mind games these niggas play with you.
So when you say in the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or South in Egypt? What do you mean?
Now, if she had co-signed him, Ankh would have went on a parade all over YouTube for a whole year, acting like this lady agreed with him and acting like this lady said they came from Nubia somewhere. But she didn't agree with him. She agreed with Chief X.
That is still on. I think it's a research still ongoing.
I'm going to research. Okay. So when you say in the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or South in Egypt? What do you mean?
That's generally the sites that have been mostly excavated and explored are in the south of Egypt. So yeah, excavated and explored are in the south of Egypt. So yeah, Abydos
Abydos
are in the south of Egypt. So yeah, Abydos are in the south of Egypt. So yeah, Abydos.
Yeah, so the south of Egypt, south of Cairo, south of the Mediterranean, south of Luxor, just south of that, but still in Egypt, whether central or southern Egypt. You guys get it? I need some motherfucking apologies.
Oh, I got you.
That area south of, yeah, Abydos.
Oh, I got you.
That south of Egypt. So yeah, Abydos.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, okay, Ankh. Yeah, right, like I told you. Now he's hurt that he can't parade around and act like an Egyptologist agreed with him about coming from the south in Nubia. Ankh and Reggie, for the last 2 years, has been trying to push that they came from the Green Sahara all the way to the Nile, down in Nubia, then up into Egypt and formed Egypt. This is their argument. They're dead wrong.
That area south of Luxor.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
That area south of Luxor.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
That area south of Luxor.
South of Luxor, like I've been telling you.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
That area south of Luxor.
Okay.
And of course, Nubia.
Look at Ankh eating cheese now.
Yeah, ancient Sudan has all a history also of,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they since prehistory. So that's
so
we're developing at the same time, and
absolutely.
Now pause. So let me pull up a map so you guys can see and not be confused. This is a map Smash Rockwell uses. This is a map they all use because it's a great map. I love this map. It goes into detail, right? So let's blow it up and show you right here where it says what? Abydos. What is north of Abydos? Thinis. Can you guys see what the thing is? Let me make sure you Abydos, Thinis. This is damn near central Egypt. It has nothing to do with Sudan and Nubians. Sudan and Nubia is way, 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 way down here where it says Lower Nubia. You see how far that is? Then the Nubian desert. Look, miles and miles and miles and miles. You're in Egypt, right here. Miles more, miles more, miles more, and bam! Then you have Abydos and Thinis, where Narmer came from. Narmer came from Central Egypt, folks. I've been saying this 4 years ago. Now, show and prove some more, Chief X. Okay. Narmer. We're talking about here. It says Narmer. Narmer was the first king of Egypt, it says. Oops. Y'all see? They didn't say the king of Nubia or any of that dumb shit. Wait a minute, I'm on the right page. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. He was the king of Egypt. It's nowhere on God's green earth where anyone claims Narmer came from Nubia except Afrocentrics. To fuck over your mind. Okay? Let's scroll down. Hold on. Where is it at? I'm trying to show where it says thinnest. Cause you going to have to see where Narmer came from. Okay. Um. Okay. Here we go. Didn't I tell you niggas thinnest? You see that blue highlight? Didn't I say you can't? He was a king of Upper Egypt, possibly from the city of Thinis. Or we could say Abydos. They're next door to each other. They're neighbors. Did Chief X make something up? No, I'm telling you the facts. I showed you Thinis damn near in central Egypt. Why is these niggas keep saying from the south and trying to refer to Sudan and Nubians? Stop listening to niggas with an agenda because they can't fathom the fact that Chief X been right and Chief X body slammed and turned the conscious community upside down on his head, single-handedly, mind you. They hate that narrative that Chief X debunked the entire conscious community about Black Egypt. Oh, they hate that narrative. This is why Ankh was on Sonetta's crying. Oh, please don't let Chief X on. Oh, Chief X wasn't the first one. Oh, brother Sonetta, stop, man. This is about people's legacy. Oh, my God. We don't want Chief X to go down in history as the one who debunked Black Egypt. No, Sonetta. It's about legacy here. We can't let Chief X have that kind of shine. Shit crazy. Now, some more. Oh, here we go. Thinis. Thinis remains undiscovered but was a well attested by ancient writers, including the classical historians Manetho, who cite it as the center of the Thinite Confederacy. Thinis. Thinite Confederacy, a tribal confederacy whose leader Means or Narmer. Who was from Thinis and their leader? Meanings or Narmer. Sometimes they're synonymous. Some people call them meaning, some call them Narmer. They were both from Thinis. Thinis began a steep decline in importance when the capital was relocated to Memphis. Don't let Ankh slide on this. Tell him Chief X tore your ass up over there last night. All right. I said this ain't gonna be long. I think I've made my point. Um, but let's just hear the doctor Rita said all over again.
But I was like, that's no. And it's funny that you actually bring that up. And that's a whole nother conversation unto itself. So I got one more question for you because I know you're short on time. When I'm not sure how much available data you've studied on the formation of Egypt, but I would like to ask a very simplistic question.
And pause. Just let Ankh and Reggie, both of them has this fixation on how Egypt formed, and want people to think it formed by black folk, aka Nubians, and not Egyptians, and that the Egyptians got influenced by Nubians, and then it jumped off the Egyptian dynasties. This is what niggas has been trying to push in the community. This is what Dr. Ben was saying. They're all wrong, charlatans, and liars.
In terms of what you ran across on ancient Egypt, was it multiple polities on the Nile Valley that were later on formed?
No one no goddamn multiple polities. It was straight Egyptians. One kind of people. Whether they was lower or upper Egyptians, they were the same goddamn people. They were just feuding with each other. You know, brothers and sisters feud sometimes. So they were feuding. They got their shit together and unified and came one big happy family. And then guess what Narmer did after he unified his family, Upper and Lower Egypt, the same goddamn people? Guess what Narmer did? He made a U-turn and started banging on Nubians and snatching up gold because those wasn't his family members. Those wasn't his kinfolk. Those was their fucking enemies. I've proved this already. I don't want to go through all this and waste no more time. But let's finish this.
Form the Egyptian state, or was it one polity in Egypt that would form the Egyptian state? I'm not even going to talk about the Middle East because I only want to talk about that. I just want to talk about the African origins of Egypt.
Um, well, from what we found, it looks like there were kings from the south who, at a certain point,
Now, mind you, she means Egyptian kings from south of Luxor. She said that afterwards.
enter in a fight in relationship and fights with the kings from the north. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified.
Two states, Upper and Lower Egypt. Then they were unified.
In one. And so first there were two states, and then they were unified in one state. And so I don't know if you know this famous object.
But guess who they didn't unify with? Nubians.
In one state. And so I don't know if you know this famous object, the Narmer
Yes.
palette. So that's used to try to see this legendary king as the unifier. There are a lot of new excavations, though. They're trying to learn more about these early kings because we have the list of the later authors of kings' names, but we are not even sure, that's really the complete list. And sometimes you can see in the news like, oh, maybe new king from Abydos, from the south.
Okay.
The name of a new king has been found, or this king from about whom we knew nothing now. We found, so it's still on. I think it's a research still ongoing.
I'm
That's
going to research. Okay. So
yeah.
when you saying the South, do you mean South in Khartoum or South in Egypt? What do you mean?
That
Well,
that's generally the sites that have been mostly excavated and explored are in the south of Egypt.
okay.
So yeah, Abydos.
Oh,
Abydos, nigga! You sell abjewware, Ankh. Abju is short for, or I think, I don't know if it's Greek for, but abju basically means Abydos. She's telling your black ass, Ankh, Abydos, basically Central Africa and Northern Africa united. Anything below that, you get to talk about Egypt's enemies. She clearly said this. Every single expert you guys have had on agrees with Chief X. Karakuni, Wang. You didn't even really need them. I taught y'all all that shit they was talking about.
I got you.
In that area south of Luxor.
Okay.
South of Luxor. Not south of total Egypt, talking about Nubia.
And of course, Nubia, ancient Sudan, has all a history also of,
Yeah,
since,
absolutely.
yeah,
Mm.
they since prehistory. So that's
Yeah,
they
so
were developing at the same time, and
absolutely. One more question. So can we safely say that the Nubians created a civilization and the Egyptians created a civilization? And should we ever confuse those two? I think it's more for me. You know what? I don't even want to interject that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Can
because he's pushing the narrative that Ashraquazi, Dr. Ben, Sarah Sutanseti, that the ancient Egyptians and the Kushites are the same people. This is his third time trying to slide something else in there and weaponize her and try to fill her mind up to say something he agrees with. See, you guys are gonna understand psychology of niggas.
is these two separate civilizations?
I mean, there has been an colonization, Egyptianization of Nubia
Mm,
by
yeah.
Egypt, and colonization, Egyptianization of
Mm,
Nubia by
yeah.
So
Egypt.
they're not the same, Ankh. She answered her second question again. She said the Egyptians was colonizing Nubians, fucking them over. I just told you after they unified Egypt, then Norman made a U-turn and started banging on Nubians. She's basically saying the same thing. Listen closely.
The colony.
Is these two separate civilizations?
I mean, there has been.
Why would Ankh ask, are Egypt and Nubians two separate civilizations? He wants you to believe that they're the same. And that was just one big old happy family. This is why he speaks on things like indigenous Africans. Make you think all indigenous Africans are the same and it's just one big happy family. 100% bullshit. 100% bullshit. But let's hear it.
Been an colonization, Egyptianization of
Mm,
Nubia. There has been an colonization, Egyptianization of
mm,
Nubia.
Yeah,
By,
yeah.
people don't colonize their own goddamn people. She's saying they colonized a nigger tribe in Nubia. If I just want to put it bluntly in layman's terms. She said, no, them Caucasian and Egyptians started banging on Nubians and colonized their black ass. That's what she's trying to say.
there's been an colonization, Egyptianization of Nubia by
Yeah.
Egypt.
Mhm.
I think you guys, if you're interested, you should interview my colleague Stuart Tyson Smith. It's been
Yeah, so if you want to get more interested, she said, interview Tyson Smith, who I have his book right here. I'm looking for it on my shelf real quick. He wrote a book called Wretched Kush. Now, why would he write a book called Wretched Kush? Because the Egyptians called the Nubians wretched. They were their enemies. So Tyson Smith is only going to corroborate Chief X. Because I made a video before I made Black Egypt Debunked And I made a video that said the Egyptians hated black folk. And I was just using hyperbole to get people to click on it. I said Egyptians hated black folk. They hated Nubians. Oh, this video got like 8,000 views right now. I made that video before I made Black Egypt Debunk. I was trying to work y'all up to debunking Black Egypt. Stuart Tyson Smith. Let me find the book. I'm looking at it right here. Just so you know, Chief X ain't bullshit. Let me put a t-shirt on. Alright, I got a t-shirt on. Maybe I can come on camera now. Hold on. Man, I was looking tore up. I had to put a t-shirt on. She said, maybe you should refer to, who she say? Her colleague, Stuart Tyson Smith. Stuart Tyson Smith. What Stuart Tyson Smith say? Wretched Kush. Stuart Tyson Smith said wretched Kush. Egyptians ain't calling themselves wretched. They calling all these black folk, you see right here, all these Nubians, all these people down in the south, Bilal al Sudan, land of the blacks. See, he's calling these people wretched. Because that's what some Egyptians thought in different periods. It's Calvin Rump, I'm not sure if he's talking to me or someone else. Probably someone else. He said Egyptians aren't white. No one claims Egyptians are white. White folk don't even claim they're Egyptians. They're neither black or white. Arab is not a white person. An Arab is not a black person. A Berber is not a white person. A Berber is not a black person. They're neither. There are other people in the world except black and white people. Okay? Stuart Tyson Smith wrote this book. Oh, and did you read it, Chief X? Yeah. I read. People, oh, Chief X don't read. Chief X ain't got no books. I underline shit and read everything. Then I come to YouTube to help educate y'all away from these Afrocentrics who's been lying to you niggas for decades. Play with me. Okay. So where was I before we end? Yeah, so the title of this video says, Brother Ankh destroyed by Egyptologists in regards to coming from the south, Nubia. That's a proper title. I didn't lie. He badgered her 3 different questions to try to get her to agree with what he's been pushing for the last 4 years. And he's been wrong. Ankh is still fighting and trying to teach people that the Egyptians are black folk. He just doesn't use the word black. He's tricking you. He wants to say indigenous Africans now and act like everybody on the continent of Africa is just indigenous Africans, which they are. But that's a confusing statement. Because if every 54 countries on Egypt is indigenous Africans, that means you can't distinguish between them. If you just call everybody on the African continent indigenous Africans and you push that line, you're trying to confuse people because people are going to put it all together and say, oh, they're all indigenous Africans. They're one big happy family. That doesn't distinguish people. That doesn't show or teach the diversity on the African continent. The fact is, the African continent is diverse, and North Africans are absolutely nothing like sub-Saharan Africans. But if I tell you they're all indigenous Africans, in your feeble mind, you can't weed out who's who. You think everybody's the same, and this is that line these niggas is pushing so they can make themselves Egyptians. We're all indigenous Africans. That means indigenous Africans built the pyramids. Indigenous Africans wrote hieroglyphs. Indigenous Africans done all this. And hey, I'm an indigenous African. It's to muddy the waters. Niggas got to stop fucking around and playing. Since niggas been arguing the word black 4 years ago, I had to switch up and say, God damn, these niggas want to argue who black folk is. So let me use something different. Let me just throw in Negroid. So I said black, Negroid. I started using these terms. I'm trying to identify and be specific about a certain type of people. But now they want to muddy the waters and mix you in with Tunisians. Don't mix me in with no Tunisian. They want to mix you all in with Moroccans. Moroccans and your ass is indigenous Africans. Nope. They want to mix you in with Libyans. Nope. Don't do my ancestors like that. My ancestors was enslaved by North Africans. We're going to distinguish this shit. I'm a proud sub-Saharan African. My stock come from West and Central Africa, nowhere else. And I represent. My stock don't come from North Africa. Don't blend me in with no North Africans. No hate on them. I'm just saying I represent mine and my tribe. Today, my tribe is a black American. I'm an American through and through. I'm a black American. I'm an African American. I'm good with both of those titles. Anybody not good with those titles is trying to confuse it, muddy the waters, and blend you in with some other bullshit. Now, I'm going to get out of here, but trust and believe, if you started this video late, because some people start commenting late, rewind this thing from the beginning. Chief X dropped Jews. I have a method when I make a video, and I lead up to something. So if you caught me in the middle, you didn't get everything I was leading up to. Y'all enjoy your night. Let Ankh know he got destroyed. Tell Ankh to make a video apologizing that he's been trying to push Nubians into forming Egyptian. The formation of the Egyptian state started with Egyptians and Egyptians only. Not black folk, not Nubians, not nobody below the Sahara. People who's been in and out the Mediterranean Sea, all down the Nile River in Egypt, coming from West Asia, Near East, Canaan, because Canaan was a colony of Egypt. So you know, if you had, like, if Canaan was a colony of Egypt, of course you're gonna have some Canaanite women's fucking Egyptian women. Fucking Egyptian men. They're all of the same family in the same fucking region. You can't tell the difference between a Canaanite and an Egyptian. They look similar. They was fucking if they was colonies. They spoke the same language family, Afro-Asiatic language family, of the same region. Niggas want to act like, oh, the Israelites or the Canaanites were white, but the Egyptians were black. Bullshit. Straight bullshit. You can't tell a difference. I did a video titled Jews of Arab Lands. And none of you niggas was able to distinguish who was who. You couldn't tell if there was a Jew in an Arab land, or an Egyptian, or was a Moroccan, or was a Tunisian, or was a Italian. You couldn't tell. Because people in a specific region favor each other a little bit. Have similarities. This is why let me show you this video I did. Hold on. And we're going to end this. Hold on. I got to do this real quick. Before I go. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Let me show you what I mean. Bam, right here. I did a video one day and I was asking people, what's her ethnicity? Everybody and their mama said, oh, she's Moroccan. Nah, that looked like a Tunisian woman. No, she looks like a Libyan woman. Nope, that's an Egyptian woman. This is what everybody said. They said Moroccan, Algeria, Tunisian, Libyan, Egyptian. And guess what? Can the audience guess who she is right now? Can the chat? I said, no. That's an Italian woman. That's an Italian Muslim. They were shook. That's what I mean. People in the Mediterranean basin, people in the Mediterranean, in Italy, Greece, Egypt, Tunisia, all these people is in the Mediterranean basin. They have similar features and they put on a hijab. You couldn't tell them apart. You niggas didn't know this woman was Italian because you can't tell. You are a black American confused in what bullshit is going on here. If I showed you a Cameroonian and a Nigerian, you couldn't tell the difference. Why? Because they live in the same fucking region. And people in the same region share similar phenotypes and looks. Duh! You guys are not Mediterranean people. You are not from Mediterranean Africa, which is North Africa. You are from sub-Saharan African stock. There's a distinct look between all y'all. What Astro 87 say? Oh, she looks Lebanese. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. This lady's an Italian. And if you Google Italian Muslim women, a bunch of pictures will come up. And you can't tell the difference of who they are. But I guarantee you, you can tell the difference between an Italian woman and a woman from Ghana. You can tell the difference from a Lebanese woman and a woman from Ghana. Would you say Lucas Brown? Now let me come up off this. I made a clear example. And if I asked people to identify her, 90% of you would have been wrong. Guess why you're wrong? Because you haven't understand the fact that people in the region have similar phenotypes. Regardless, Manuel, that's what I'm saying. People intermix with each other in Western Central Africa. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you didn't know if she was Egyptian or not. Egyptians don't look like black folk. Modern day Egyptians look nothing like black folk. Ancient Egyptians look nothing like black folk. Oh! I forgot to play one part where this Egyptologist lady was saying something similar, but that's another whole nother subject. You know what I'm saying? Right. Astro said Mediterranean. I've never been mistaken as white. People need to stop saying because I said Egypt wasn't black folk. I'm not saying they white folk. I'm saying they were neither black or white. Arab, the people in the Maghreb, Berbers, people in North Africa, Egyptians, Canaanites. You know what I mean? Greeks, Romans. You know what I mean? None of them people. They have similar looks. But none of them people look like sub-Saharan Africans. That's for goddamn sure. And this is why, when Egypt was conquered or ruled by others, guess who ruled it and conquered it? Other Mediterranean people. Because they've been doing business for thousands of years. They've been knowing about each other for thousands of years. They've been frequenting and visiting each other and selling around the Mediterranean Sea for thousands of years, even thousands of years before they even conquered or took over Egypt. Everybody who took over Egypt, besides the Nubian dynasties, were just some more Mediterranean people taking over Mediterranean places. This is not rocket science. So Greece and Rome and Arabs conquered Egypt. All Mediterranean people, all in the same fucking region, and you can't distinguish between any of them. I had to say this on Sonetters one time. You know, all these, they look different because all these invasions. All the Egyptians look different and got whitewashed because they had all these invasions. The Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and all these people invade. I say, well, all these people were Mediterranean people. They didn't majorly change a goddamn thing. They looked the same from the rip. So they weren't whitewashed. They just got mixed up with some more Mediterranean people, but Egyptians stayed to themselves mostly. So the modern day Egyptians are the ancient Egyptians. So when you do DNA tests, some people have North African. So if an Italian do a DNA test, some of their DNA will say North African, just like some of mine will say Central African. It's a whole bunch of Egyptians that got 10%, 15% Greek, Greco-Roman DNA. Y'all didn't know this shit? All you got to do is sit back for a couple hours, go on YouTube, and type in Italian DNA reveals. Type in Spain DNA reveal. Type in Egyptian DNA reveal, and all these people will either have 10% of one or such and such of this, and it's all because people have been fucking around in the Mediterranean basin. Okay, we had 57 minutes. I went over. I thought I was going to be no longer than 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So, um, he said he's manual testing. Egyptians were not Mediterraneans. They came from the Nile, down from the Nile River. This manual testing with this comment is pushing the narrative that Ankh, Dr. Ben, and Afrocentrics push, that they came from the south and started Egypt. Black folks started Egypt. So he says here the Egyptians are mountain Mediterranean. They come from down the Nile River. How far down manual testing are you talking about? Did you listen to anything in this video? The expert said you lying. The experts say you are lying, manual testing. I know that's what I'm saying. Because I see manual testing arguing in the chat with everybody. So if you're arguing in the chat for an hour straight, you can't be listening to me in my presentation. Your mind is focusing on saving face and arguing with the chat instead of getting the education from my presentation. Sometimes you got to shut the fuck up, close your mouth, stop typing, sit back and listen. This is not rocket science, people. What'd you say, Armchair? He never looked at a map. I just put up a map on his ass. Like this, I was on Facebook saying today, we are fucking doomed. People sitting here praising Terrence Howard for this pseudoscience nonsense he's spewing on Joe Rogan's show. Total nonsense crackpot shit Terrence Howard was spilling on Joe Rogan's show. So on Facebook, people are arguing up and down about Terrence Harden. No, Terrence Harden is spitting some real shit. Terrence Harden is real. He's overturning science. He's overturning white boys. They wish that was true. Terrence Howard has mental health issues and has lost his motherfucking mind and don't know what the fuck he's talking about. So today on my Facebook page, I posted this science scholar who has a PhD, excuse me, a bachelor's in chemistry and a master's in the field of science, and he focuses on astronomy. Notice I didn't say astrology. Astronomy, the cosmos, and he's deep in astrophysics and physics and chemistry. And he had a 40-minute video destroying Terrence Howard. Every line and every word and every sentence that Terrence Howard said, he broke down meticulously and made Terrence Howard look like a whack job. But black folk, oh, Terrence Howard. I say, you niggas love and worship rappers and entertainers. Most black folk worship rappers and entertainers. Oh, they just engulfed. And they can't stand professionals and credentialed people. You guys haven't noticed this? Majority of black folk can't stand credentialed and professional people because they're paranoid. They think all professionals, all credentialed people who are educated are lying and trying to pull the wool over their eyes. It's crazy up out here. So tomorrow I will be doing a presentation on Professor Dave, who destroys Terrence Howard. I mean, obliterate him. One of the finest videos debunking pseudoscience and nonsense I've seen all year long. I'm out, y'all.